All right, and we're back, and we're excited because it is
Yes, we
game day
are.
again. Game day, Roy. Game two coming up today. Canucks have
Yep.
had a bit of time now to watch some tape. The coaches have had some time,
Hopefully.
yeah, to make some plans, look and see, what's working with the other games, and what do you think we're going to see today?
Well, we better see something different. The last game was a dud, to say the least. We had a few highlights. Harman Dial, he did a great job with his little stars out of 5 stars, I think. And I liked who he gave his 3 stars to. He gave it to the young kids, Besser, Pedersen, and Hughes, because I actually thought those were the 3 best players in the last game. He gave his 1 stars to who I said, and actually, it was interesting. For those that listen to our podcast, I said Pearson was by far the worst player on the ice. Harman Dial also said that Pearson is the worst player on the ice, arguably. He just didn't have a good game. It doesn't mean that he won't play. I know I talked about him possibly not being in the lineup, but you can't sit everybody because that's how many people had not a great game. Is we would be sitting a lot more. I think we have to see some changes in the. I think changes actually both changes in the top, changes in the bottom. The change in the top, I just switched to fully down for Besser. That's all I would do. I think Besser is skating. He needs some creative offensive minds with him. And I think that will – and also because him and Pedersen are opposite hands, you give you 2 snipers that could – if they're cycling through the zone like they can, it could create havoc for Minnesota, I think, eventually. The bottom 6, though, for me personally, you got to bring in your 18 goal scorer. When you have 0 goals, zero goals,
How many?
and you have a guy that almost scored 20 in a shortened season on pace for over 20, you have to bring that player in. I get why he didn't sit in the first game. We all understand that. But you can't sit him 2 games. You can't justify that. You can't justify sitting 20 goals when you can't even score 1. So you have to bring him in. I would bring in McEwen as well. I think Ferland, Roussel, Ferland brought an aspect of physicality, and at least his size is intimidating enough. Like even with the spear and everything like that, Minnesota's watching their behind their back because over their back. Because Ferland's going to wreak havoc on them. So I'd keep him in the lineup. I would take Roussel out, and I would take either Sutter or Beagle out. That's what I would do. I don't think that's going to happen. Ray Ferraro is kind of on the same page as us. We've been talking about this. But, I'll let you – what do you think Grain's going to do? What do you think he's going to do? Is he going to do what you want him to do?
Well, what I would have done at the beginning is I would have had the fastest, most energetic group of young players that where there aren't fans here that are ready to go and ready to skate and have something to prove. That's sort of I'm more about bringing in that energy. Bring that energy.
Yeah.
Have these guys with some size skating, through the wall that is the Minnesota Wild. And if I could choose what would happen now, it's very similar to what you have just said. Now, I think one of Sutter or Beagle, one of these guys has to stay in. I think that's going to have to be. It's either going to be Louis or Beagle or Sutter, and you need a centerman. So I'd probably keep Beagle in, I guess. But I would have McEwen and Jake in somehow and get them to play. I would also give Levy a look, get them in and get them this chance. If you don't give Levy a chance now, if you don't give Jake a chance now, and the Canucks lose another game and maybe lose that 3rd game, huge opportunity missed if they plan on developing the future and bringing.
I think more Jake. I don't think Levy. I don't think the defense hurt. I don't think Fantenberg was terrible. I don't think. We got Ben coming back eventually. I don't think Levy's going to be the change that's going to determine whether the Canucks win or not. I don't think having Levy in the lineup is going to create more goals necessarily. Now, he is a good outlet passer, but defensemen get more overwhelmed in the playoffs than I would say the forward. So I would make the young changes up front first, just because if Levy gets trapped and he's going to start taking penalties, he's going to get – even in the preseason, he was getting hit hard. He made some good plays, though. But I'm with you more on the Virtan and McEwen thing. I totally agree with you. I think we just showed that we need to be faster. We
Yeah.
need to get on their defense more, and we need to hit them. And the guys I'm taking out of the lineup aren't hitting. Roussel's not hitting. I don't know what Roussel's doing, actually. I don't know if it's still the leg thing. I don't really know. He's not doing what he's supposed to be doing. He's not the pest he's supposed to be.
Yeah, to be honest, Roy, like
And
agitating Minnesota is not going to work at all. That's not going to do
no,
anything. They
no,
don't.
you need to hit
That's
them. You
not
need
going
to
to
hit them.
work. You have to get to the goal. And
Yeah.
the one reason that I talk about Levy, it could even be Rafferty, is that there were 17 shots on goal by the defense from Vancouver in that game.
That's right.
And these shots were and lots of rebounds. The problem is the defense didn't wait long enough for the forwards to get to the net. Almost all the chances that the defense had on their shots, they could have waited. They could have waited a second for, Miller and Pearson or whoever to get to the goal. And this was the problem. And I think this is, they were so disjointed. It was almost like, just skate and then as soon as you can, just shoot it on the net. But nobody's at the net. And so
and I think
one of the ways to break Minnesota's defense is that you got to buy some time in the zone. You got to get to the net.
Yeah, I mean, there's a part of that I believe a little bit. I don't think the Canuck forwards. No, I do, and I think hanging on to the puck slightly longer. We'll really only have one guy that knows how to do that really well. Minnesota did a great job of pressuring the point, also with Hughes. But I think the forwards have to work way harder to get in front of the net. They're just satisfied with staying on the outside or right beside the net. That's not good enough.
Absolutely,
you have to get to the front. So I don't want to put it all in the D because at least the D hit the net. I mean, that's a bonus. Edler actually hit the net a couple times, which normally he doesn't. But they have to get their shots lower. Yeah. That's one thing. They're hitting the net like Myers, Glove. I know Fantenberg, there's a couple of high shots. They have to hit the net lower so we can get those deflections and those scrambly little plays. But the forwards have to have more purpose. That's the thing. Like if I'm Pearson, if I'm Toffoli, if I'm Horvat, if that becomes a line, you better have purpose. You better go to the net with an agenda, and you better make sure you put pressure on their D. The reason why I say bring in McEwen and Virtanen, not defensively, they're not going to be amazing, but offensively, they can put pressure on Dumba and Suter and make them cough up that puck sooner than they want to. Sutter's not going to do that.
Yeah, and the way Minnesota's playing is they're giving Vancouver every opportunity to come at them. They're not going to be. They're not really going to be, pushing Vancouver in their own zone a lot unless, Vancouver gets caught running around making bad passes. Then they will. If Vancouver can get out of their zone, then Minnesota will give them some space, within their zone to come out. So that to me is not an issue. It's if Greener is too worried about, first of all, the PK. Well, if you give up a power play goal on the first shot of each of your power plays, then it doesn't matter who you got out there, to be honest. So no, I don't even care. I don't care about the PK at this point. They need to score goals. So
and you have a guy like Miller.
Goals is going to win.
But Miller, is that how it goes? More goals wins. But you're right. But Miller even said he takes pride in the PK. He actually wants to be out on the PK. So if Miller's one of your guys, how many other guys are like that? Because we've never heard Miller as one of the top PK guys. It's always Beagle, Sutter, Erickson, Mott. Well, if Miller's actually one of your guys and he takes pride in it, then we don't need some of those other guys down there who are slower, who get pinned. I'd rather have Miller's quite happy on the. I don't want one of my top players always being the PK, but if he's one of our better ones, I don't mind him being up there. So, I just think I'm a little nervous about this game, in the sense that if their sticks get tight and they don't score in the first period, I just don't know what mentally is going to do to a team if you don't score. You score one goal in 7 periods, right? So they need to come out exactly what we said last game. Got to come out really strong, and you got to come out fast, and you got to come out hard, and you got to put Minnesota on their toes right now, or on their heels. Right now, Minnesota's on their toes, and they're forcing the issue. So, it's game day.
Yep.
It's exciting. I'm pumped for it. But I got my playoff nerves in now, so I'm going to be watching the game. And when I watch a game, when I'm nervous, I don't say anything. People don't talk to me, and it's a very uncomfortable situation. So I hope that doesn't happen. I hope it's 7-0 after 1, and we're cruising.
Yeah, for sure. So, we're calling for change. We're hoping for the best. It's game 2. It's very also likely that Travis Green says, we're going to stick with our game plan. We're going to stick with the boys that we put out last time. More or less happy with what we have, and if they lose, then we'll worry about that decision. But if they win, hey, you know what? That's why he's a coach. So let's enjoy the game. And Roy, we'll do another one of these after we see the results. So
Yes.
go Canucks.